So you've only been full time then for like, a handful of years, like 5 years or whatever. A lot, this is something I guess like, we see, because I mean, sometimes it's like you see this thing where, you've got these guys that have been training jujitsu since they were like little kids. And then they get to the point where they're in their mid 20s or whatever, they're monsters, and you're okay, well, they've been training for a long time. But then there's some of you guys, like you and some others that have been training for a very short amount of time relative to their life or whatever, and they've gotten really good. Do you think it's something like with you where like maybe you kind of like you've got like a decent disposition, decent genetics that allows you to do this? Or do you think that there's a particular way that you have trained that's been beneficial, or maybe a combination thereof? Like, do you think that made that possible for you to be at a high level where you're at and also be only training full time for about 5 years, but even training since then, since you're 18?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Definitely. I do think some people naturally are more gifted in certain aspects of life. That's just the way the world works.
Sure.
I do think I have some natural talents, but I don't think like physically I'm like the most gifted person. I think I have decent genetics, right? But I think one of my main gifts that has made me successful in jiu-jitsu that I don't think you can teach is like kind of like strategy mid-match, like being able to think mid-match, right? And then also
That's tough.
Also like being able to kind of like really push myself to like a sixth gear. There's a certain gear that I think you can push yourself to in competition that it's really hard to push yourself to in the gym when you have that adrenaline and everything's on the line. And the ultra hyper successive athletes in individual combat sports, I think they all have that last gear that they can go to when both guys are dead tired. There's one guy that just finds something from somewhere, and then he'll go and score at the end, right? So I think I have a little bit of that too. That I don't know if it's something that's due to my upbringing or if it's something that's genetic or what.
Do you think it's something you developed? Like, when did you discover that you could do that? It just from the beginning, you just were really kind of relentless and didn't really have that kind of, I guess we just say it's grit, really. Like, there's a book called Grit that's kind of what you're talking about.
Grit,
I feel
yeah.
like it's just like you don't really have a quit, and you just kind of keep going. If it gets a little harder, you can keep pushing through. Is that something you feel like you developed, you learned, or is that even something you feel like people can improve upon, in jiu-jitsu?
I think it can be improved upon. A lot of it just depends on what. I think it also can be lost a little bit too. Like if you start to get a little too comfortable, like you see all the time, guys, whether they're fighters or jiu-jitsu athletes, once they start maybe like getting a little bit of money, their motivations decline a little bit. They might be faster to break or faster to quit. Like, I don't really have to be here right now, like I'm good. I'm set for life. So I think it is something that can be trained. I think a lot of it depends on your circumstances in life. You see a lot of maybe like kids that grew up with money, maybe don't have that. They're faster to break. A lot of the kids that grew up in the favelas, like the poor Brazilian kids that have nothing, they'll fight until they die. Their arm will break or their knee will pop and they'll keep on fighting.